Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. This time we're going to be going through the gameplay walkthrough trailer that Creative Assembly just released. And I'm going to be looking for any little secrets or important information that we can find in these videos. Before we get started, real quick, I do want to say that there should be videos coming out a little bit more often. I finally have my new carpet installed, and most of the hard moving is done. But we'll talk about that more at the end of the video. So let's get back to what we're seeing here. So this is the campaign map. Obviously, I've started a series on this. The video covering Kislev should be coming out in less than a week. So look forward to learning all about the Northern Empire, as you could probably call them, though they're a little bit different. Good old winged lancers and some other cool things, but we'll talk about that when that video rolls around. So the first thing that he's going to do when he zooms in is that we're going to get to see Azhag the Slaughterer, the confirmed second legendary lord for the Greenskin race, which is super exciting. Actually was not who I thought it would be. I did hear about the artwork of him showing up, but I honestly thought it would be Skarsnik. So I'm surprised, pleasantly though, that it's Azhag. That, you know, of course puts the Lord Death in the game, which is really exciting. Oh, here we go. So this map is gorgeous, and I mean gorgeous. I love this. Oh, if you go back, that teal banner, the ship that you saw there, that was a Ironclad, which is a dwarf ship. So seeing that was really, really cool. I know we don't get live action naval battles yet, but it's still really awesome to see that the ships that are on the map are very appropriate and perfect. And these cities, man, they look amazing. We got the Marshes of Madness here, which I'm not sure are actually possible for us to pass, due to the fact that when you look on the campaign map, they appear in their own zone, but they didn't have a label on them before. I did identify them as the Marshes of Madness before this video was released, but I'm still curious about whether or not it's playable. So we got our Dwarf Engineer there, as he mentions during this video, though the Dwarf Engineer we had revealed during the Thorgrim video. I'm really looking forward to see what he can do in the battle. Got a couple of volcanoes, likely Thunder Mountain and Karak Doom and things like that. We got Thorgrim with Karazakarak, which I cannot wait to see in a live-action battle. I hope it's as gorgeous and amazing as it should be. But, I mean, just look at this map. It's amazing. I'll tell you guys, I'll just be honest with y'all, I quite literally started crying when I saw how just gorgeous this map is. And look at Karak Kadrin. I don't know what in the world. There's some greenskins, the Red Suns tribe, looking at their banner there. I don't know what in the world Ungrim Ironfist was doing letting them get so close, but they have no business being that close to my dwarf hold. My goodness. But in any event, really enjoying everything I'm seeing on the map, really enjoying the way the armies look and the way they're moving around. I've looked at most of the Greenskin roster, and we'll talk about more of that in the video that should be coming out tomorrow, which is going to be covering the Grimgor announcement trailer, or his little reveal. But I'll also be talking about just the Greenskins in general. I'm not going to focus too much on that. I'm going to worry more about just the campaign map as a whole in this video, plus a bunch of little hints they threw in. I really enjoy the fact that we've learned that dwarves and greenskins will be able to take over each other's settlements, but the Empire and the Vampire Counts will not, which I thought was really interesting, though I have heard it is confirmed that the Empire can take a greenskin hold and give it to the dwarves, I guess as a sign of good faith. So that really sounds really exciting for showing the whole alliance between the Empire and the Dawi that you would expect to have, that we see a lot in the lore. The loot system, I'm curious to see what you guys all think of the loot system. I think it's a really cool mechanic of getting resources and possible magic items and stuff like that from winning battle. Also, the fact that the campaign map, sorry, I know I'm just vaulting through information, but there's a lot happening. The fact that the campaign map actually changes depending on who owns an area just blows my mind. Like the fact that there's just all that classic greenskin icon, those icons and statues and stuff. We got some Vampire Count stuff you can see in the back. There's a zombie dragon lord. If you look back there, it's likely Manfred von Karstein, but I'm not 100% sure. Despite my every attempt, I could not zoom in close enough to see him. Here we've got Azhag the Slaughterer, one of the most successful orcs to ever come from the far north, and he's standing next to Blackcrag, which is actually owned in the lore by Gorfang Rotgut, who was a very, very powerful orc warboss that managed to storm Karak Azul, which is one of the dwarf holds. And he stormed his way in, stole a bunch of stuff, kidnapped most of the king's family, and he nailed the king's son to the throne with his beard shaved off. And this turned the king of Karak Azul into quite the dour individual, should we say. I like the tech trees. I'm not super familiar with these because the last Total War game I played was Shogun 2, though I just got Rome 2 and I'm hoping to play it some so I can kind of get used to maybe some of the newer mechanics. But what I'm seeing so far I really like. I enjoy that we can get all of our units from the Greenskin rosters just by most of the building upgrades, rather than having to do a lot of research to get our hands on that, and that all the buildings for the Greenskins are available at the start of the campaign. Greenskins do not appear to unlock any buildings through their tech tree, which we're seeing right now, which I love all the little names for the tech tree. They're very orc appropriate, Fasta wheels and all that stuff. And the locked units being the Arachnarok Spider and the Doom Diver. And I don't know about you guys, but my first Greenskin playthrough, I'm going to beeline for that Arachnarok Spider. I hate and love that thing so much. But so Blackcrag, I'm hoping we get to see Gorfang Rockgut in there. When you start your campaign, maybe you have to deal with him or try and take him down. He's a very prominent orc character. He's probably the most important orc character that does not have a actual special character profile. He died in the end times, actually, right at the beginning of it at Kadak 8 Peaks. He was killed by High King Thorgrim Grudgebearer. I actually really like the progression system for heroes. I like that we've got all those little points up there to give us for the quest incentives with Skull Muncha and the Crown Sorcery, which for those of you who don't know is actually the Crown of Nagash. But we'll talk more, of course, about his various items when we do Azhag's video, which will be pretty soon. I like that he has all 7 spells from the Lore of Death that we have in Tabletop. They didn't actually add any spells, which I thought was really interesting. They're only using spells from the actual Tabletop version. The rest are just sort of little passives that seem to be able to buff your magic. I'm looking really forward to analyzing more of this in detail as things go on and talking about all the little fluff tidbits. So far, every single fluff thing that I found in this video was literally just copy-pasted from the army books or books that I have into this game. And even like the unit artwork, the unit cards, which are gorgeous, by the way, are the exact same images from the Orc and Goblin book. They're just colored in, where in the Orc and Goblin book they were just green. The dwarf army there, it should be worth noting, had miners in it, so that's another unit we did not know about being confirmed for the game. We weren't 100% sure miners were in. Now we know for a fact that miners are in. And if you notice, I love that only one dwarf survived that fight. It looks like the general was the only person who survived, which just kind of cracks me up. Azhag definitely won the day there, it looks like, him on Skull Muncha, who is a very awesome wyvern, I should say. It's going to be hard not to pick him for my first playthrough. That wyvern is just amazing. Though I hope they fix kind of his tail clipping through the ground there. Okay, and so we're going to zoom up north. And another thing that's interesting is that Grimgor and Azhag both don't start in the south. And we can tell this campaign is fairly well progressed just because there's stuff everywhere. And I'll point out, back when we saw the Ironclad, if you paid careful attention when we saw that Ironclad, the city that's just north of it, early on in the video, is Badakvar, which is a dwarf-owned port, but it was covered in greenskin. Effigies and was all, orcified. So definitely this campaign seems to have progressed quite significantly. So we're not getting to see everything in its natural starting state. And it's also interesting to note that Azhag and Grimgor, which is why I said all this to lead up to this point, both of them start in the north if they start where they exist in the fluff. For instance, Azhag's Wa began in Troll Country, and he actually fought his way south into the Empire until his death. I believe in 25, I want to say 14, 25, 12, somewhere in that ballpark. There we got to see the Undermine mechanic, where your greenskins are able to enter the Underway and move great distances while being able to ignore things like enemy armies and impassable terrain stuff. I thought that was a really clever way to implement it, because I think putting an entire underground Underway map that's always accessible would have been a nightmare or stuff like that. So I think having it as a campaign map movement mode that your army can take, a stance, so to speak, I thought that was an extremely clever way to handle it. Here we have the Pillar of Bone, which I'll be excited to talk about in a video that we come to that, but we learn a little bit more about the Wa mechanic, which I adore the Wa mechanic. I think that is so awesome, of that you gotta keep your boys fighting. You gotta keep them amped and interested and going, or else they're gonna start fighting and killing each other, and all of a sudden your army is gonna be really tiny. I love that it punishes players for not being aggressive with greenskins. Though this raiding stance looks like it's a reasonable way to keep your armies in place while you're building up force. Here he goes over what looks like the entire greenskin roster minus the Doom Diver and the Ragnarok Spider. So, like I said in the Grimgor video, we'll go over what the full army roster is, because that hasn't been officially released yet, but it might as well have been, because in this video they show us everything. Though, as always, this is alpha footage, so not everything is guaranteed, but I think we're getting close enough that the rosters are probably pretty cemented. Alright, and here we are soaring over to Grimgor, I believe. So we've got a couple of different armies wandering about. There's Barakvar again. As you can see, it's covered in greenskin stuff. And here we've got this super obnoxious Orc Shaman doing one of the actions that your wizards can take on the battlefield, which, if you haven't watched this video yet, that gyrating orc, as they say, is actually sucking the winds of magic out of the air. He's performing the Drain Magic option, which normally is something only High Elves and Slom can do, so that's pretty interesting. And I really like this, because I bet armies like the Vampire Counts, who we finally got a little glimpse of in this video, are going to be extremely reliant on heavy magic. But if you're playing an enemy on this campaign map, or the computer's just going magic heavy, I'm so glad that you can do something like have your wizard just suck all the magic out of the air to make it so that if they bring a whole bunch of wizards to the battle, they're pretty much useless. So it's kind of like tabletop. You don't want to oversaturate your army with wizards, or else bad things could happen. Here we also learn about the happy part of the Wa mechanic, which is if you get high enough, you get a AI army that shadows the army in question. I really, really love that, because the whole point of a Wa is it's just this unstoppable tide of greenskins, though it is tied together by a single uniting force. So long as Grimgor keeps winning and keeps smashing and keeps fighting, the greenskins are more than happy to pile up around him. I'm curious if it caps at that one army, or if it just keeps going. And another thing I'm super curious about that I wish they had gone over was if these armies will join you in battle. So if it'll just be 3 armies on the table, and this third AI-controlled army just comes storming onto the map and does what they can, or if it's some other kind of weird system, like they provide reinforcements that you control. It can be weird. I can understand a few people are worried about the AI controlling it. I imagine it'll work fine, but you never know on release day, so that's something to watch out for. I love story missions. I love the quest missions. It's interesting he's not starting with Gitsnick, though I'm gonna be more than happy to take care of stuff. That many people believe is Marius Leitdorf, that human we saw down south just a little bit. He's a special character for the Empire. There's a Tempest of Magic, which are places where magic's going to be really powerful and you'll be able to use lots of it. Okay, and I'm about to talk a lot here because a lot's about to happen. So we're about to go into Burtoni. Here are the Grey Mountains, where we have the Grey Mountain Dwarves, and then here is glorious, beautiful Burtonia, Oh, it's so gorgeous. Look at those castles. And there's Athel Loren off to the right, all mysterious and big and crazy. And then here we've got necromancers perverting the very land around them, corrupting it, destroying it. We'll talk about the undead a little bit at the end. And then there's Leon Leonker, that man right there with the crown. That's the king of Burtonia himself. Super glad he's in the game. Can't wait to see what he can do. Maybe we'll get Burtoni as an early DLC. I really hope so. I'd love to have that 6th faction. Here we're zooming through Norska, and if you look right here, nope, not yet, here, Norscan Dwarves. Norscan Dwarves confirmed. Super excited about that. In the Warriors of Chaos book, they're dead, but in the Dwarf book, they're still alive, so I'm glad they're going with the Dwarf version. Try and keep up with me if you can. That might be the Silver Pinnacle right there. That's kind of a debate ongoing. Silver Pinnacle, if you don't know anything about it, go to my Neferata video. I'll link it down in the description below. Okay, gotta talk. Okay, so I think that's pretty much everything interesting. So now I can talk a little bit slower and sort of digest what we've seen. So vampire accounts, we finally got to look at them, and man, they look awesome. A few notes that me and some friends picked out were that the necromancers we saw, at first I thought they were agents, but on closer observation, they have army bars, which means that those are master necromancers, meaning that we have a master necromancer choice confirmed as a lord choice for the vampire accounts, which is really exciting, because it could have been too easy for them just to say, okay, vampire accounts get only vampire lords as their lord choice. For instance, if you haven't seen the Empire roster, there's only the General of the Empire. However, somewhere in that video, there's a wizard that's barely visible while they're sweeping across the Empire and heading towards Burtonia. And he appears to have an army bar and appears to be a wizard. So it may be that when they say General of the Empire, they just mean Lord of the Empire. And maybe he can become a wizard lord. I'm not sold on that. I think that may have been a wizard lord on a town or something, and there was a slight misunderstanding. But we're still working on that, and I'll get back to you guys if we can find any solid evidence that wizard lords are confirmed. Until then, it appears that the Empire only has the General of the Empire, but I'll make another video very shortly about the Empire roster. I'll probably throw that in with the Greenskin roster, honestly. So in any event, very exciting video. We've got Burtonians, we've got Leon Leonker, we've got Athel Loren, though it doesn't look like we can go into it. We've got Ironclads. We've got Storms of Magic, where the area will be extremely saturated. You'll be able to perform your most powerful spells, likely multiple times. Can you imagine just hurling comets, like it's... I can't even think of a good analogy for that. But in any event, it's very... Well, that's what my lizardmen do on the tabletop, actually. I have a skink priest that's very infamous for hurling 3 comets a game. In any event, really, really excited. I was bouncing up and down in my chair, crying, squealing like a little girl, watching this video, getting super hyped for everything that I saw. It looks amazing. Norska looks terrifyingly dangerous, and and we've learned that it does attrition to anyone that's in it, with the exception of the Norskans, of course. So I love that they're holding true to how inhospitable it is. I have tried to analyze all of the flags of the various armies. The Burtonian flags, most of them correlate to the land that we're seeing. So there's nothing terribly exciting or unexpected there. There is a brief Burtonian army or two that we see that have banners, but neither of them are anything terribly interesting or indicative. None of the dwarf banners were anything terribly interesting. Badakvar was taken over by orcs, so we didn't see anything there. The only dwarf banner that really seemed to have a link in the lore to the books I own that show heraldry for the dwarves were that of the banner of Thorgrim Grudgebearer when he appears in front of Kadasakadak, but that was pretty obvious. Seeing the zombie dragon in Slovenia was very cool. I actually find it pretty awesome that the monstrous mounts appear on the campaign map instead of it just being the Lord, and then when they get into battle he mounts up. I think it's really cool that they appear that intimidating on the campaign map, and we also can see what our enemy's bringing. That way, you know, when you see a wyvern flying towards you, you're like, okay, I need to be ready for this, instead of, you know, an orc walking up to you and surprise, he flies. Really, really excited. I really want to know everything you guys think. What are you the most excited for? Are you finally glad we got to look at the vampire counts and how they kill the land around them? Are you kidding me? That looks amazing. Are you excited that the Burtonians have arrived and they're likely going to be DLC pretty early on? Maybe free LC, maybe, but Chaos is kind of free LC, so probably not. But we've got Burtonians, we've got Storms of Magic, we've got Killing Magic in the air, we've got a few Agents actions, we've got Vampire counts, we've got Monstrous mounts, we've got ships, we've got the campaign map changing according to what you do to it, whether you're killing it as the Vampire counts, or you're conquering it as the Orcs, or you're purifying it as the Dwarves, or you're purging out all the heretics as the Empire. Or goodness only knows what Chaos is going to do to the land. Can't wait to see what happens if you take Kolek or Archaon or Sigvald and come smashing down into the south. I hope they're able to do to the old world what Azavar Kul did to Prague, which, for those of you who don't know, Prague was basically turned into a living hell, where all the people inside of it were fused into the very stonework itself, and it became a city of the damned. Thanks to the acts of Chaos. So I hope we can do horrendously perverse and dangerous things to the world when we come to conquer it. That's pretty much everything. The biggest surprise... Oh, one last thing. The vampire counts being in Burtonia is heavily indicative that the second legendary lord for the vampire counts may well be Heinrich Himmler, the Lichmaster. He is the only necromancer special character for the vampire counts, and he would make an excellent addition. And especially considering his things, you know, you'd have to unlock his blade, Krell, the White King, who's his bodyguard pretty much, and is only a hero level. So I would expect him to be probably the final quest mission for good old Himmler. So in any event, Heinrich Himmler's probably who the legendary lord is, due to the necromancers present in Burtonia. And the banner they have over them is the banner that appears directly under Himmler in the Vampire Counts Army book, but that banner may not be the banner indicative of Himmler himself. But, on the other hand, those banners were also the colors of Himmler, which are black, dark, gray with a white symbol. So a black, dark, gray field with a white symbol, which is what those banners have. So that may well be Heinrich Himmler, being the final legendary lord yet to be revealed. We finally got to look at Azhag. He appeared briefly in the Grimgore trailer, but now we got to finally see him in action, and man, he looks good. I love that Lore of Death on some orcs, man. I love that Lore of Death. We saw Karl Franz on Deathclaw. We saw Zombie Dragon. We saw Leon Leonker, and I'm just going in circles, but if you can't tell, I am super excited. I had to take a few days just to calm down and actually sit through the video enough to pay attention to everything going on. So I really got to know, what are you guys most excited about in this video? Let me know in the comments below. I am super excited to get back to pumping out lore videos. I'll have the Grimgore trailer out very, very soon. And in that video, we'll be talking about the Grimgore trailer, siege battles, the rosters, all sorts of stuff. So in any event, that covers me up for this video. And I will see you guys next time. Have a good night.